1, 2, 3, go. We're on. Welcome to the last interview, 2/16, summer 2013. Great year. On Wednesday, again, another plug. I did it in the last. We have an installation on the High Line using our triggers to trigger augmented reality films, content, media about our diverse past, our diverse memes, our meme pool, as it were. Out there on the line, we don't know whether it'll just be thrown away as trash, where to put it under the space, put it over the space, whatever. We got the next part of the class to figure that out, to iron out some bugs here. But Kadeem, we're here talking about this kind of quiz I'm going to give on JARON LANIER. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different questions that he addresses on what he's fairly dystopic about this new, now that it's been along for over 15 years now, 18 years since Netscape went up in 95 or 6 or something, almost 19 years. You remember that when it first came out?
Yeah, I first used Netscape in like last year of college, so like that I stayed around, so like 96.
That was the first one.
Yeah, I remember.
These
like
guys
the main,
were way too young.
I remember it was like the main like browser.
Yeah.
For a long
Before that,
time.
it was like Winx or something.
Yeah.
No, before that, it was all like geeks doing chat rooms and bulletin boards and all of that stuff. This was the first GUI, graphical user interface, that was intended for the larger public, and of course that did create a revolution. 18 years now, we are in the midst of. Lanier is fairly dystopic about this, Kadeem, because he thinks the hardest hit segment of the population is actually you guys, the middle class, educated person making individual property items. The computer beat, Big Blue beat Gary Kasparov. He talks about that in 99, I think it was, or 98. There's a great film on that. What was the computer called to beat the person in Jeopardy? Watson.
Yeah, Watson.
Yeah.
And Chester.
You heard about that? Everyone heard that?
Yeah.
When the computer, I forget what it, Watson beat the top Jeopardy. Who is he?
Ken Jennings.
Ken Jennings, the top Jeopardy. Kadeem, first of all, what is Jeopardy and why does that resemble almost anything a professional would do, including a doctor or a lawyer?
Essentially, it's a game show where I guess people test their knowledge, or a broad range of knowledge on
all these little memes, the bits that come in to be a lawyer or a doctor or anything you guys are studying to be right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the university. Even Lanier has even this dystopic thing is about one day we're going to see robots doing our plumbing and fixing roads. Things we assume, the spatial temporal things we assume only human beings can do. Like for a long time they thought a car couldn't parallel park, they thought a robot could not parallel park a car. Because when you do that, maybe you don't do it well enough. When you do that, that takes so many spatial temporal exercises, a robot just would fry. Now they have these things to do. Will computers replace everything?
No. Well, I hope not. I don't think everything will be replaced. As we see now, like some computers are doing certain, and robots are doing certain jobs that used to be for humans only.
But is Lanier right? Is the educated middle class, you guys who are going to university, the hardest hit?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Some aspects.
6 years, 7 years from now, just suppose you're a lawyer. You pass the bar, which any computer can pass now, accordingly. You're in a difficult case and you walk in the courtroom, nothing but computers for the jury.
That's a little discerning.
Well, isn't it, I mean, you're African American, you say, oh, God, great, finally a jury that's all computers, right? Not just all white guys, it's like computers, right?
Okay.
Is this utopic or dystopic?
I'd say it's a little dystopic because then you won't really have that human effect. You know?
So we're talking, I think it's, YouTube, fairly cowardly to send drones over to do your war fighting, right?
Okay.
Because there are no human stakes behind this, right?
Yeah.
Sure, there's a lot of money being flown into at risk of getting shot down, but I think it takes the human-to-human aspect out of the tensions of the dynamics of war and conflict.
Okay.
So, what is this? What does Alicia? What is this whole thing about robots doing our road work?
I think it is going to be the future because people don't want to do that kind of work.
Already, I heard in 2 years Google will have the car that drives itself. It's out already, right?
They're already testing. It's pretty much done.
Isn't that a scary concept?
Yeah. When there's a car in front and it stops at traffic lights and everything.
You plug in the GPS. You got to go to Stony Brook tonight. You get in your car. You take a nap.
No, that's creepy.
See, everyone's creeped out. All you good middle class folks are creeped out.
In those, like,
Exactly. Anything
couple
can
of
happen.
hours or whatever.
Like, what if something happens that's not programmed?
Yeah, what if like the squirrel just pops
You're
out?
talking about glitches,
Like,
right?
it wakes you up.
If flood comes towards your car,
Yeah.
If what comes towards your
if
car?
flood comes towards your car,
It's figuring it out by satellite. It'll
What if it's
stop.
deer?
It'll honk.
A deer just pops out and like.
It'll poke you with a pin to wake you up.
Or what if something happened quick enough that it wasn't able to like alert you fast enough?
I would be scary if we consider how many airplanes are actually being flown by machines.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I probably high pilots. I would like to ask just how much human control is there in an airplane.
What if the statistics showed that human beings make more mistakes on average than
Yeah.
Just like a jury of computers, as an African American, would say, okay, at least we're going to get a fair trial. But are you?
I don't know, because they may not weigh the the scenarios the same. It's because they're just looking at it as a
Because they don't
basis,
eat,
but
they
maybe-
don't pee, they don't poop,
Like,
they
yeah,
don't
in
make
terms of
love,
like
they
the
don't do the empathetic things that human beings are supposed to be doing. They don't die. That's a big thing. What is so we have this notion, Lanier said, about the global brain. Teilhard de Chardin called it the noosphere. It's like this membrane that is supposed to come around the Earth of all our interlinked brains, and it is marching right at us, gang, in the form of these. These interconnected form this noosphere Teilhard de Chardin talked about 80 years ago. He predicted this. He said, one day there will be this global brain. Jonathan, Lanier is not too hip with that. Are you hip with the car that drives itself?
it's tested and works properly. Why not?
What if there's one glitch in a million?
Well, it's
Just
working.
statistics?
You can take it. But you can drive by yourself. You get into a car accident.
And what will we be paying these robotic cars if we have no jobs? Because robots took our jobs, right?
Yeah,
We're saying anything that involves paper pushing, i.e. anything you're going to college for, has been computerized already. Because we're saying the only thing computers couldn't do is like get under your sink and fix your plumbing the way a human being would.
There's still
But,
the world where idea generation takes about creativity, things like that. I think there's still the quote-unquote human sphere. I mean, we also get taken over.
The spatial temporal sphere. It somehow has to involve like fixing roads, parallel parking cars, getting under sinks and fixing plumbing, spatial temporal sense. But we can't imagine, as Lanier said, there are computers little drones that get sent out to fix what's underneath for at a great cost. And he's worried, where's our wage coming from? So we have a fairly serious approach to this book, right? He's saying, if Watson can beat what we're studying here, as I hope professors will not be out of fashion in 20 years. Maybe they will. It's already facing a crisis, but that crisis is more about a financial bubble than anything else. Are we hiding? And I tell, I get classes in and I get some zombies, not you guys in my class, and I look at them straight in the face. It's like 30% of you would be better off going to electrician or plumbing school. Is this true?
Yeah. Some people
Probably
go to
true.
college just to go. You know what I mean? 'Cause,
Hell,
Just
what's a
imagine.
plumber make nowadays? 60, 70 bucks an hour?
Make a lot of money. And a lot of things
And
that
no
people don't
debt, right?
advertise is that people who go to college, like sometimes they don't even get jobs in their field that they
And they're
studied
paying
for.
off humongous debts.
Yeah. So
They're indebted to pay to play to stay in the poker game, which is called higher ed. So Lanier is concerned about this. The real customer is the advertiser of the future, but this creature has yet to appear in the time that this is being written. Fake friendship and Facebook, but everyone knows that. No one takes their 4,000 friends very seriously. I know I don't. Sorry. The Lords of College use that to lure hypothetical advertisers. Have people seen the new attack, the new ads on Facebook that are not just pop-ups on the right? They
Yeah,
hit your
find the
stream.
stuff, Yeah.
oh yeah,
That's
suggestions
new.
and stuff, yeah.
It's not even suggestion. I try and unfriend Walden College or whatever the hell these advertisements are, and there's no switch to do it. They land in the feed. And this is new of 6 months, I think. So Zuckerberg was lying when he said, Facebook will always be free. According to Lanier, that customer Facebook has built its whole billions of dollar revenue around is the advertiser of the future.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Yeah, that's how they make most of their money. If not all of their money.
But it's the advertiser of the future. Andrew. Stay with us. Stay with us.
More to advertise in the future.
I think we are. Aren't we?
We might be the customer of the future. He said cynically, the one profession that might not ever not die would be advertising. Are we all advertisers on Facebook? Really?
Yeah.
Is this what it's boiled down to in our shallow lives? I know with me, I throw my stuff up there to get classes, to get lectures, to get sticky value. Someone today threw something up as like a protest of Facebook owning your intellectual property, and people went like, "Big deal, man! This has been locked down 3 or 4 years ago." In order to avoid the robots fixing our road or underneath our sinks fixing our plumbing to make money, are we all advertisers in the future, Kadeem?
To avoid that from happening?
You've all gone to college. You all got to pay back your debt. You all have your basic needs of climbing up the food chain. Is this kind of like a science fiction scenario where we're all advertisers in the future?
I'd say that people might look towards that avenue to make money if those other older jobs are being taken.
Or what about Facebook now, Joseph? We're all advertisers, right? We're advertising our lives, right?
Yeah, but Facebook has other things of value, like the data that it has on like people's relationships, who communicates with who.
Marketing value.
Yeah, but all of that is part of the data archive that is being used to.
By whom, though? Lanier said it's only being used by Zuckerberg. Can it be used by us?
It can be used by anyone who has access to their portion of the data, and that gets generated into all those algorithms or whatever it is that gets crunched when the supercomputers crunch it and get whatever they get out of it. Like everything from stock market, the way it functions, all done through that kind of data mining and processing.
Puffing it up and creating bubbles and creating hypes and what? Or is this a real-time feedback?
It's basically all correlation, so I wouldn't even say that they're feedback. There could be feedback because there's actually input that certain, I guess, computers would do as well as people. So there could be feedback, but it could be just correlations, matching data sets, A with B, and just figuring out what matches with what.
Anita, how does Facebook make money?
By advertising.
Really? Those little banner things on the side?
We advertise, and then there are certain people.
Are we advertising our lives, not just like medical, pharmaceutical products that show up or college? David.
Say we advertise Facebook as in like, okay, like we sign up, and then once you sign up, it actually like, do you want us to like, who else do you know that wants to sign up? And us signing up would lead to possibly thousands, even like 100,000 people signing up on Facebook, and that's how they make their money.
Pyramid scheme.
Obesity. Like there was a movie made out of it, and everybody knows about it. It's in social media. It's in like TV.
The movie social media. I saw it. You saw it.
It's a good movie.
Is it all puffery, what Lanier called it? It's just smoke and mirrors. Really. We could get into deeper philosophical content. We could say, but Professor, money is all puffery. Especially the way they're printing it now. Holy smokes. Andrew, puffery. Question 4 there. Who are the advertisers of the future? Will an increased middle class population be able to make money off of their intellectual property online? That's the big question. Andrew, do you ultimately want to be a professional in some field?
Nope.
Not a lawyer, doctor, architect, nothing?
I just want to work in a company.
Work. Well, you'll be an executive, right?
Yeah. So yeah.
You might have to get an MBA for that, right?
I don't really know much about what I want to do in the future.
That's cool. I like it. Lanier would love you. Stay that way. Jonathan, you ultimately want to be a professional.
Yeah.
What kind?
Probably somewhere in the medical field.
Could a computer do your job? Or do you want to find a job where a computer
I hope
incapable of
computers-
doing it?
I hope computers can do that because like professional job, you have to be like in touch with your patient instead of like I'm a robot. Let me just inject you with this, take your blood, leave.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
e-medicine is getting down to. E-health or whatever. It's like going e-nursing or whatever, you know. Let's move on. The middle class is a sort of widespread self-determination and liberty. So he's making kind of a conservative statement here. This guy in dreads, Lanier, is saying everyone, the Marxists, the NIMBY liberals, whoever, have been knocking these middle class values, and he's saying, well, that's what determines the nation, right? The middle class built America, and now it's evaporating. We have only the upper class and the lower class. And this, you look at any country with problems, and you find that disparity between upper class and same in Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
Few rich people, a lot of poor folks.
Yeah.
That's probably why a lot of your parents left India, right?
Probably that's the stuff of revolution, having a small upper class and like why
Look what's happening in Egypt now, Brazil now,
anywhere in the world.
and probably anywhere in the world now. Probably why you guys left China. You know, you're
Same thing too, though.
well, it's getting that way. Lanier is being a staunch supporter of the middle class. Hang with us, Andrew. The middle class because he said that used to represent self-determination and a form of liberty. We want to knock like the people who mow their lawns and have the white picket fence and have their little marriages and all of that. But Lanier is being supportive of this. Is the internet a sleight of hand trick to hide the real mounting poverty and disparagement? And is there a wisdom of a crowd in a hive mind? Is the internet more smoke and mirrors?
I would think so. Only because people who are on the internet all the time, it's mostly for themselves. They're not really looking at like the news or really a small portion of it.
Hey, I got
yes.
Netflix. It's only $7 a month.
Yeah, like
I'd rather watch a movie tonight than throw a Molotov cocktail. Right?
Yeah, and then
Except
the
if you're in
people who are
Egypt
really
or
poor-
Brazil or Turkey right now. People
who
get.
are really poor don't really have access to the internet like that. So it's like
But he's saying a lot of the internet for this crucial middle class is actual puffery too. Your Facebook is 80, he would say 80-90% puffery, right?
Then is an egalitarian society a society of equally poor people or equally rich people? That's
Or equal parts of poor and rich without a middle
but
class?
like he's saying basically internet creates a society that is more or less homogeneous in terms of
Oh, the
Yeah,
wisdom of the
that-
crowd or the hive mind.
So like when you create a society that's equal, filled with equal people with equal whatever you want to call it, money or values or ideas or whatever, are you creating a society that's filled with poverty or filled with rich ideas and exchanges and all that stuff? Or so is it a society of poverty or a society of wealth? It depends on how you flip that idea, whether it's poverty or wealth.
Here's a real case, and he said in the later chapter he's not being a total Luddite. He's saying the techies are crazier than the Luddites. Everyone know what a Luddite is?
Yeah.
People who hate technology. That's a Luddite. He's saying now the techies are crazier than the Luddites. It's people who totally crazy about you guys, just texting all the time and makes Luddites look like sane people. These people used to wreck machines because they thought it destroyed humanity. 2 cases. I think it was Southeast Asia. The fishermen caught fish. They didn't know which port to go in because each port was different and determined separate prices. They used cell phones to determine the right port to sail into and go. Case 2, the prostitutes of Southeast Asia, once they had cell phones, they got rid of a lot of the abusive pimps because now they could have a direct line up to their johns with their cell phones. Is this actually the utopic use of individual people finding their exact worth in a market?
I think so, only because the technology is leading them to a better life now.
Individual cell phones.
Yeah.
There was one quote, I think it was him or someone else, they said, actually the internet, as big as it seems, was not as important as the invention of the washing machine.
No.
Yes. The washing machine radically, when it was invented in the 20s, radically, I think it's him or someone else said, you can draw a direct line from the washing machine to feminism. Because it freed up a lot of the duty.
Is there like exact proof of this? Because I think the internet's had a much more like its effect is much more widely.
But this is what LANIER is actually calling puffery.
But doesn't the internet create more like hardships? I feel sometimes, and you're like always consumed online and washing machine. You kind of
Yeah, what hardships did actually the washing machine create?
It didn't create. I felt it took
It
away.
relieved.
Exactly. And
It could have been one of the, I mean, even better than the automobile, it could have, automobile, there's tons of, look at what it did to our atmosphere, the automobile, but the washing machine freed up whole societies. I mean, so that's something to think about technoculture, just where we go. Let's give Kadeem a hand here. He's gone over a few